A long weekend tragedy on a GTA highway.
3 children killed in a crash on the 401. Police say impaired driving is suspected. Good afternoon. The children were siblings in a minivan that was struck by another vehicle after midnight Sunday in Etobicoke.
Today, mental health support workers are at the young victim's school to help grieving students and staff. This as the driver accused of causing the crash faces a dozen charges, including impaired driving causing death. CTV's Beth MacDonnell joins us live near the scene at Renforth and the 401 with the latest. Beth.
Michelle, the Toronto District Catholic School Board says all 4 children in the crash are their students. 3 of them died. It says mental health and faith-based supports are being made available to the school community, including psychology teams that will offer counseling. Several bouquets of flowers have been placed at the scene of this devastating crash on Renforth Drive at the 401. The markings of the collision, a fallen sign, and debris still very evident. It happened early Sunday morning, shortly after midnight. The minivan was carrying 6 people, a 35-year-old mother and her 4 children, along with the 40-year-old driver, police say, who was an acquaintance of the family. Toronto police say their minivan was stopped at the red light when another vehicle was exiting the off-ramp of the 401, lost control, went over the median, and hit the stopped minivan with the 6 people. Police say a 13-year-old boy and 15-year-old boy died at the scene. A 6-year-old girl later died in hospital. Their mother, her 10-year-old son, and the driver went to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and survived. In a statement, the school board says, "We can confirm that all 4 children involved in the tragic car accident in Etobicoke this weekend are students of the Toronto Catholic District School Board. We are heartbroken by this loss, which will be felt deeply throughout our entire school community." It goes on to say, in light of the ongoing police investigation and out of respect for the family and our grieving school communities, our focus remains on offering support, care, and prayer for all those affected by this unimaginable tragedy. Now, Toronto police say they arrested 19-year-old Ethan Lahuye of Georgetown at the scene early Sunday morning. He is facing a dozen charges, including impaired and dangerous driving charges for this terrible car accident. Reporting live, I'm Beth MacDonnell. Back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Toronto police are looking for a driver who struck a man overnight in Leslieville.
The pedestrian suffered life-threatening injuries. CTV's Allison Hurst joins us live from Queen and Jones with the details. Allison.
Based on the surveillance footage we have obtained from a nearby business, you can see the man crossing in the crosswalk, walking across Queen Street when he is struck by a vehicle. This is the video, which shows what looks like a light-colored sedan turning left while the man is crossing the street, and then it hits him. We have stopped the video before impact, but police say the vehicle that struck him did not remain on scene. It happened just before midnight last night at the intersection of Queen Street East and Jones Avenue. Police say the man is in his 30s and suffered life-threatening injuries.
Turn yourselves in. This is such a horrible thing to have happened, and for you to drive away from somebody who has sustained horrible injuries, we would ask that you turn yourself in and contact police.
We have seen detectives canvassing the area, and the investigation is ongoing. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Allison. And take a look at this. An investigation is underway after a truck fire on the eastbound 401 in Oshawa. It happened this morning before 6 east of Ritson Road. Witness video shows flames and smoke coming from the vehicle on the side of the highway. The OPP say the tractor trailer hit a concrete wall and then burst into flames. Police shared these pictures of the scene after the fire was extinguished. No injuries have been reported, fortunately. There's no access to the eastbound 401 from Ritson Road as this investigation continues, and it's unclear whether charges will be laid in this case.
And a serious multi-vehicle crash shut down Highway 10 in Caledon this morning. The CTV News chopper was over the scene between King Street and Charleston Side Road after a collision involving a tractor-trailer, cube van, and a pickup truck. You can see significant damage to all the vehicles involved. Police say 2 people were sent to hospital with serious injuries.
Still to come this noon hour, Canada Post workers poised to hit the picket lines by Friday in what could be the second strike in 6 months. The latest on this labor dispute and reaction from people bracing for another disruption.
We have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. There is sunshine and a few clouds, but you could use a light jacket. It's a bit cooler than perhaps you might expect this time of year. And we also have rain on the way. All right, Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Well, Nathan, having said all that, I think this is the day that you want to get outside and enjoy because conditions are going to change for the rest of this short work and school week. Temperatures, yeah, they are cool right now in the single digits in Hamilton as well as Owen Sound, barely in the double digits around the GTA, but that's similar to what we experienced at times over the long weekend. 9 degrees on the islands, 13 this hour at Pearson Airport. We're starting to get a little bit of an increase in cloud cover, but it is still mostly sunny. Enjoy that because we've got a disturbance on the way that is going to bring us a significant amount of rain over the next couple of days here. Winds right now, we're starting to tap into a bit of a southeasterly wind. We will have a raw east wind through the day tomorrow, so that is going to make it feel even cooler. Today's forecast daytime high 16 degrees. Again, enjoy this. A big change on the way. We'll talk all about it coming up in your forecast. For now, Nathan, over to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Well, it's not the outcome fans were hoping for. The Maple Leafs playoff run came to an end Sunday night. I'm sure you all know this, with that tough loss to the Florida Panthers.
It was not easy. So another season is over, and today the team is reflecting on what happened and what lies ahead. CTV's Sean Leathong covered the whole run-up and all the high hopes and now the disappointment, and he joins us with the latest chapter in this story. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, the players being asked about what the future may hold, specifically for Mitch Marner and John Tavares, who are unrestricted free agents. Mitch Marner talking about how it's difficult to process that yet. He hasn't breached that subject yet with his family because he was hoping to be playing a hockey game tonight. As we know, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals goes tonight. But as we go back to Sunday, Game 7, we know the Leafs had a tough start in the first period, but then managed to push back to a 0-0 draw at the end of one, where the team looked actually pretty good, but then it was all Florida in the second period, jumping out to a 3-goal lead, and that seemed to be what really broke the Leafs. Even though they got one back at the start of the third, the final ending 6-1, and then Toronto ended up doing the handshake line they've done so many times before, losing so many Game 7s with this group. That's obviously got to be a frustrating situation. And a lot of the talk has been about pressure, the pressure of playing in Toronto over the last couple of days, with some members of the Florida Panthers talking about how it is a high-pressure environment. One of the members of the Florida Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk, saying that if the Maple Leafs were in a different city, this actual team was in a different city, they might actually be better. Now, some of the players were asked about their futures today, asked about processing the loss, and Coach Craig Berube was asked about the pressure, but here's Mitch Marner off the top.
Can't change anything that happened in the past now. All you can do is focus on trying to just get as strong, as fast, as powerful as you can this summer and come back with your foot going forward.
Obviously still very fresh. Been a difficult, I don't know, whatever how many hours it's been, but clearly, when we had breakdowns and our ability to recover was very difficult. And I think, when you look at the team that we played against and what they've built, what they've accomplished, and where we're trying to get to on just how strong they played together as a unit and just stayed with their game and how comfortable they were within that, especially in a big game like that. Things we can take and we can learn, and I'm sure there'll be more that becomes more clear as time goes by.
Pressure is pressure. I understand it. I do. And it's a hard market, and it's a great market though. And you got to look at it that way, in my opinion. But pressure comes from inside the locker room. That's it. That's, your teammates are the most important people. And that to me is the only pressure.
Captain Auston Matthews also spoke, confirming that he was injured for much of the season, saying he was hurt in training camp. He tried to do his best to become healthy throughout the season, but was never feeling 100%, saying he's confident that he'll come back next year at 100%. And goalie Anthony Stolarz did confirm that he sustained a concussion when he was hit by Florida's Sam Bennett in Game 1. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Well, for the second time in 6 months, Canada Post workers may soon walk off the job.
A strike notice was submitted yesterday, meaning operations could shut down at 12:01 Friday morning if no collective agreements have been reached. A work stoppage would affect millions of residents and businesses. Canada Post says no new items will be accepted until the strike ends. And those already in the system will be secured but not delivered. There will be exceptions for social assistance checks and live animals. A 32-day walkout during peak shipping season ahead of the holidays last November and December left millions of letters and parcels in limbo with a massive backlog to sort through. The union that submitted the strike notice represents more than 55,000 postal workers. And for more on this potential work stoppage, we're joined now by CTV's Scott Hurst. Scott, how would a second postal strike in 6 months affect Canadians?
Nathan, good afternoon. You outlined how crippling and costly this past strike was just 6 months ago, 32 days that the union workers were on the picket lines, and that meant, as you said, letters and parcels didn't move. The Postal Service didn't accept anything new, and anything that was already in the system stayed right there. So this is just more bad news for anyone relying on a steady, uninterrupted service. As you mentioned, the strike could officially begin at Thursday night, Friday morning, 12:01 Friday morning, meaning union members could be on the picket lines first thing Friday morning. For everyday consumers like you and me, it means a disruption to our daily mail service. For businesses, it is obviously a lifeline to get products to customers, and it will seriously deepen the company's already dire financial situation. Here's more from Canada Post and the union as we are just days away from potentially another Canada Post strike.
The last one had a massive impact, hundreds of millions of dollars on Canada Post. That one came at Christmas. Another one would just be debilitating, and we're already losing $1 billion a year, and had to have a bailout from the government. We need to turn the page.
And the union put some changes forward to the employer, and the employer walked away. And we asked if they were coming back last week, and they said, well, if not this week, next week. Well, they know we're up against a deadline this week coming.
So the union is pushing for overall job security, benefits, pension, pay, but also pushing back against part-time workers on the weekend. That has been one of the big obstacles. Now, in a statement, the union has said it took this step, issuing the strike notice in part to respond to the employer's recent indication that it may unilaterally change working conditions and suspend employee benefits, Nathan.
So with all that, is there any sign that negotiations might be resolved and they can avert a strike?
Well, here's the thing. In terms of negotiations right now, the issues that caused all the concern last time around are still in play this time around. If you remember, after the 32-day strike, the workers were ordered back on the job by the Canada Industrial Relations Board, and the collective agreements were extended for 6 months until May 22nd. That takes us to later this week, and during that time, it established an industrial commission, and that report has detailed a lot of its findings last week, saying Canada Post should stop door-to-door residential mail delivery and shutter more rural post offices in order to survive. Now, the union is not. The union, a lot of those demands, a lot of those recommendations from the commission, the union says they don't really sit well with their members, saying it fundamentally disagrees with the bulk of these recommendations. So we are still days away from that potential strike when the workers could be on the picket lines once again. Canada Post says it is preparing offers right now and should be able to present those early this week. But as I mentioned, the same sticking points that we were dealing with last time are still in play this time around, Nathan.
All right. CTV's Scott Hurst with the very latest on a possible postal strike. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
And another potential postal strike certainly isn't sitting well with the people who rely on this service. CTV's John Musselman is in Mississauga with that side of the story. John.
Well, hi, Michelle. Yes, we're outside the Gateway Depot. This is a large Canada Post depot in Mississauga. I won't get into all the details that Scott just covered, but you're right. For customers and clients, it is a concern about receiving their bills in the mail. Other businesses, small businesses, do rely on Canada Post service. So there's concern about this, and they're hoping that some kind of settlement can be reached before the deadline on midnight on Friday. Here's what some people had to tell us about a possible strike.
We have so much responsibility as Canadians when it comes to our bills, just government things, right? So just having that on a back hold, you know, I experienced it once with the passports even, and it's just a terrible thing. We don't deserve that. I don't think anybody does.
You know what? I feel like we have too many postal strikes. It's actually very annoying. I'm not going to lie to you. Anytime I just want anything, it's just like every excuse in the book is just given, like, oh, postal this, postal that. Not interested.
Do you use it much?
Yeah, I order on Amazon. I order everything. Like even my, I got my health card and my passport recently. It was supposed to come in 5 weeks. It ended up taking longer than 5 weeks. My passport was longer than 5 weeks. My health card was, I don't even know, like 2 months almost. And these are things I need because, like, you know, I want to leave the country, like to go on vacations, and I also want to, just in case I need to go to the doctor or anything.
Yeah, so we did hear a lot about that, about people who need to get a passport. So there is a little bit of frustration and annoyance, and they're hoping that this can all be avoided. But we'll have to wait and see how it talks, what happens on Friday. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, John. Canada's annual inflation rate was 1.7% last month. Prices at the pump fell a little, over 18% year over year, and that was due mostly to the federal government ending the consumer carbon price at the start of last month. But the relief didn't extend to grocery prices as costs rose faster than the overall consumer price index for the third straight month. The Bank of Canada will make its next interest rate announcement in early June.
In the Middle East, Israel pressed ahead today with its new military offensive in Gaza despite mounting international criticism. Health officials in the territory say airstrikes killed at least 85 Palestinians. Israeli officials said they allowed in dozens more trucks carrying aid, but it was not immediately clear whether the desperately needed supplies were reaching any of the people in Gaza, which has been under an Israeli blockade for nearly 3 months. Experts have warned about the high risk of famine. Under pressure, Israel agreed this week to allow a minimal amount of aid after preventing the entry of food, medicine and fuel in an attempt to pressure Hamas. In the UK today, the government said it was suspending free trade negotiations with Israel and was leveling new sanctions on settlements in the occupied West Bank. The move came a day after the Ukraine, France and Canada threatened to take action over Israel's handling of the war in Gaza and its actions in the West Bank.
Mr. Speaker, over the weekend we coordinated a response with our allies, as set out in my statement with President Macron and Prime Minister Carney last night. And I want to put on record today that we're horrified by the escalation from Israel. We repeat our demand for a ceasefire as the only way to free the hostages. We repeat our opposition to settlements in the West Bank. And we repeat our demand to massively scale up humanitarian assistance into Gaza. The recent announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza, a basic quantity, is totally and utterly inadequate.
Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that by asking his country to end a defensive war for its survival, the leaders in London, Paris and Ottawa are offering what he called a huge prize for the genocidal attack on Israel on October 7th, while inviting more such atrocities. In London, the King and Queen helped celebrate Canada today. The royals attended the centennial celebration of Canada House, otherwise known as the High Commission of Canada in the United Kingdom. The monarch and Queen Camilla will be in Canada next week when the King will deliver the speech from the throne that will reopen Parliament. This is the first time in nearly 5 decades that Canada's monarch is taking direct part in the reopening of Parliament. It comes at a time when threats to the nation's sovereignty coming from south of the border. It's also King Charles's first official visit to the country as a reigning monarch.
I'm Scott Lightfoot, live at University Triangle, which, if you didn't know, like I didn't, is at the corner of Front and University. They are digging a new pollinator garden here on this previously unused plot of land. We'll tell you who's behind it, what they hope to achieve right after the break. But first, Lindsay, beautiful day to be outside.
It really is, Scott. That's lovely to see. And today might be the most beautiful day to be outside, depending on your perspective of a rainy day. We've got a few of those in the forecast. Let's take a look at our almanac for today. What I want to point out is the seasonal norm, or the average temperature this time of year, which is 20 degrees. Today we're at 16, so that in itself is below seasonal, but we are going to get even cooler than that over the coming days. Look at the jet stream sinking well to the south. We've got a cutoff low that's going to bring us rounds of rain this week. How much is in the forecast? We'll take you through it on the other side of this break. You're watching CTV News at noon, and we'll be right back.
Well, if you've been enjoying the spring flowers, you can thank bees in part for that.
And today is the ideal day to do it on this World Bee Day. And CTV's Scott Lightfoot joins us from the place to be. Scott.
Oh, that was clever, Nathan. The place to be, I can't believe I repeated that, is University Triangle. We are at the corner of Front and University. It is a small patch of land that has a new beginning starting today. I've got Dana from the Toronto Downtown West Business Association with me. Let's talk about this property. People drive by it, walk by it. It's kind of underused, correct?
Yeah, so we're at the corner of University in front at the University Avenue Triangle. This is one of our gateways to the Toronto Downtown West Business Improvement Area, where we've got over 3,500 plus businesses in the area. And so what we're doing here today is actually revitalizing this space. So you can see in the background some of our worker bees hard at work for World Bee Day, and a number of them are planting many of the species that are native to the area. We've got 30 plus species here today, and these are really important to have in urban environments. In the downtown core, many bees and butterflies that are native to the area pass through the area, and so yeah, today we've been working on that. You can also see in the backdrop there a colorful wall. Over there is a muralist, Julia Priza, who's working to beautify that wall. And so what will happen by the end of the week is you'll see a nice mural that complements the space as well. All of this is being done with the BIA in partnership with the Fairmont Royal York. We also worked with OCAD University as well to commission the muralist. And we also had the City of Toronto's Pollinate TO fund that also made this possible.
And this is not the first. The Royal York actually does something similar on their rooftop just across the street. So, I mean, there is a need for this. It's kind of a unique use of space that's actually helping nature in the middle of this sort of concrete jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think urban environments like this need more green spaces, and with the growing population downtown, they become even more important. And so there is just several of them that we are working to beautify this year, but kicking it off right here at University Avenue Triangle for World Bee Day.
So you mentioned 30 species of plants will be here, a brand new mural. It'll be visual for people. It'll be great for the pollinators. And what you didn't see is a bee actually flew in between us during that interview. Dana did not flinch. The man is very into bees today. That's it from World Bee Day live downtown. Nathan, Michelle, back to you.
Thank you both.
Running away.
No, they're our friends. They won't do anything if you don't swat at them, right? Weather-wise, I mean, it looks so beautiful and sunny out there, but it definitely is fresh. It hasn't been, the warmest weekend.
Right. It's kind of strange because you just think it's going to be warm. You expect it to be warm. You're wearing a light jacket, and then you're feeling like it's kind of chilly.
Yeah, we've said this a few times. Some of us put our jackets away, never to bring them back out again. And then, well, guess what? It's May, and sometimes you still need that jacket. You'll need it today. You'll need it the rest of the week. In fact, you're going to need a rain jacket tomorrow. We've got a pretty healthy amount of precipitation on the way, and it is going to take, beyond today, some time for us to rebound back to seasonal temperatures. Let's take you through the forecast. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. Enjoy today. It was a sunny start at the beach, at the park, depending on where you were. Beautiful sunrise this morning, birds chirping. It looks like spring. It feels like it too. Maybe it feels more like the early part of the season as opposed to what we traditionally think of near the end of May, beginning of June. This past weekend, the unofficial kickoff to the summer season didn't feel like it everywhere in our province. And now as we make our way, especially into the day tomorrow, we're going to see a second change, first in the form of cloud cover and then with some rain on the way. That rain already creeping its way into southwestern Ontario. It's right at the border right now. We can expect a bit of an increase in cloud cover as we make our way into this evening. The wet weather likely to hold off until tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. But this is a cutoff low. Because of the setup of the environment right now, we're going to see, once again, much like what we experienced not too long ago, this low pressure system is going to spin for a little while, and that's going to bring us rounds of rain. How much? Well, by the end of the week, we could pick up 30 to 40 millimeters here in the GTA. Some areas could see closer to 30 or even 50 millimeters of rain. So it's a good soaking. Perhaps it's good for the lawns and the gardens. I know lots of people have been eager to get out there. And if anything, hopefully this just leaves everything looking very nice and green by the end of the week. Okay, there's tomorrow morning. So you can see the wet weather beginning from Hamilton over toward Niagara. We are under cloud cover in Toronto. By about midday, there's the noon hour. We're getting into that wet weather. Notice how it's going to be with us through the day. We're talking about periods of rain, maybe even heavy at times, perhaps some embedded thunderstorms in the Niagara region. And then as that low spins, you can see how the rounds of rain continue, in fact, into the day on Friday. Right now, it is 13 degrees here in Toronto. UV index is about an 8 for today, so slather on the sunscreen. Even if it is a little bit cool, you want to be careful of those rays. 14 is what we're expecting for this evening. Overnight low about 9 degrees. Let's take you through the 7-day forecast and give you an idea of what's in store temperature-wise the rest of the week. 11 degrees for Thursday, 13 on Friday. Hey, the weekend brings some improvement, back up around 18 degrees, still below seasonal, but an improvement with a mix of sun and cloud expected both days. That's your look at the forecast for now.
Thanks, Lindsay. Wow, a dazzling fireworks display lit up the sky over Ashbridges Bay Park last night to celebrate Victoria Day. Thousands of people took in the show over the city's East End. The display started at 10 p.m., lasted about 14 minutes.
The fireworks were really nice. It was the best show I've seen in Toronto, honestly.
We really enjoyed it. It was really nice. The weather was a little chillier than usual, but we still had a good time. I honestly just love the atmosphere in general. Like she said, we come every year since we were children. It's so nice to see all the fireworks. It feels like we're at home, very, very happy, very joyful. Cold, but you don't feel it because it's really nice outside. They were like really mesmerizing to watch. And I was with my friends, so it was fun.
Victoria Day is one of only 2 days a year where private fireworks displays are allowed in the city, the other being Canada Day. Now, the long weekend is considered the unofficial start of summer, with many sunny and much warmer days ahead.
It came with a reminder to wear sunscreen to protect your skin. And while there are many products to choose from, researchers recently put what's considered the best to the test. CTV's Pat Foran has the details.
If you plan to spend a lot of time in the sun, it's recommended you use a sunscreen with an SPF of at least 30. SPF, which stands for Sun Protection Factor, is a measure of how well a sunscreen protects against sunburn. Deciding between a lotion or a spray is a personal preference. What really matters is that you apply it correctly. Consumer Reports just tested over 100 sunscreens and revealed surprising gaps in how they protect you from the sun's cancer-causing rays.
We found major performance differences among sunscreens, even those that came from the same brand. And in some cases in CR's tests, the protection offered didn't match the SPF that's listed on the label.
It's not just about the SPF number on the bottle. For full protection, you need one that's labeled broad spectrum. That means it shields your skin against both UVA and UVB rays.
UVB rays primarily cause sunburn. UVA rays contribute to premature skin aging. Both types contribute to the risk of skin cancer.
After exhaustive testing on panelists and in the lab, Consumer Reports gave top marks to Coppertone Water Babies Lotion SPF 50, which earned high marks in both UVA protection and SPF performance. And if you prefer a spray, Eucerin Advanced Hydration Spray SPF 50 was also rated a good choice.
Even the best sunscreen can underperform if you don't apply it correctly, or you don't reapply it every 2 hours or immediately after swimming or sweating heavily.
When it comes to sunscreen protection, check the expiration date. Always shake before using. Make sure you use the proper amount. Don't forget commonly missed spots and reapply often. The overlooked spots include your ears, the back of your neck, the backs of your hands, and the tops of your feet. And it's best to apply sunscreen 15 minutes before heading outside.
Every time you get a sunburn, it ages your skin and it increases your risk for skin cancer, and a serious sunburn can be painful. So it's just a good habit to keep sunscreen handy and wear it whenever you're spending time outdoors. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
Coming up, concerns over artificial intelligence. The results of a new survey on whether society is becoming too dependent on AI. The details after the break. Artificial intelligence is everywhere, prompting more Canadians to make use of it in our everyday lives.
But AI is developing at such a fast pace, it can be hard to see clearly what the implications for society might be. CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin has details on how Canadians are using the tech and how they feel about it.
What do Canadians use AI for?
Canadians use AI for a variety of purposes. In their jobs, they often use it to improve productivity.
Artificial intelligence is increasingly part of our lives and increasingly useful, say Canadians. A survey by Léger found 47% reported having used an AI tool in March, up from 30% a year ago. Still, many users don't trust AI when it comes to things like driverless vehicles or as a tool to teach children.
It is automating humans out of the loop. That's a good reason to be distrustful.
Experts have raised ethical concerns, issues with how the technology performs, and around baked-in bias for generative AI.
We want to think of AI as neutral and objective, but we already know it's trained on what people have said in the past, and people don't always say nice things.
And there's another concern. 84% of Canadians worry society is becoming too dependent on AI. That computes for the new Pope Leo XIV. He identified AI as posing a critical challenge to human dignity and says he chose his papal name because the last Leo, Leo XIII, served at the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, warning against turning workers into mere commodities. Still, Ottawa has signaled the importance of Canada's technological future, creating the post of Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation. New MP Evan Solomon got that job. This at a time when 86% of Canadians say the AI sector should be regulated by government to ensure ethical and safe use.
Artificial intelligence has the capacity to exert massive influence over what we think, both individually and as a collective. We need to ensure that there's accountability around and transparency around how AI is being deployed.
With the sector rapidly developing, analyzing the impact of AI is still very much a work in progress. Genevieve Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
And as Canadians learn to incorporate AI into their personal lives and their careers, there are concerns that these tools could become, so useful and powerful that it takes our jobs.
Hope not, but recent news from the world of radiology paints a brighter picture. To tell us more about it, we're joined by CTV science and tech specialist Dan Riskin. Dan, so why is radiology an important test case?
Yeah, they're kind of the canary in the coal mine because that was one of the first things we could see AI doing better than humans was looking at an X-ray and telling a person if they had cancer. Incredibly accurate, incredibly fast. And what took a person several minutes to look through, AI could do instantly. And so a lot of people said, including Jeffrey Hinton, by the way, the godfather of AI, said, stop training radiologists. We don't need them anymore because AI can do it. But if you flash forward to today, where AI has been in the picture for more than 5 years now, there are more radiologists than ever, and they are using AI to be more effective. And so when you think about what a radiologist does, they don't just look at the picture and then drop the mic and walk out of the room. They look at the picture, then they make an assessment. They think about the medical history. They talk to other doctors. They talk to the patient. All those other pieces now are getting more attention and more time from the radiologist because that task of looking at the image just isn't as big a part of their day. So it's a really optimistic sort of story for radiologists, and I think paints a good picture for all of us with AI in our lives and our careers.
It can actually help.
Yeah. It's like having a really smart assistant.
Yeah, and AI gets things wrong a lot, right? If you use it on a daily basis, there are times where they make mistakes, and so they're not perfect yet.
Absolutely. And the other piece is, like, if I get cancer, I don't want to talk to ChatGPT about it. I want to talk to a doctor. I want to talk to a doctor who cares. And that human piece is just a critical thing that's going to become more and more apparent in all the people we trust in our lives, all the different jobs that people do for us.
That's nice to hear. Okay, so we've got some earthquake video that's going viral. It's quite spectacular, I hear.
It is.
Brought it. Let's have a look at it first.
Yeah, let's roll this footage. It's from Myanmar, and it's from earlier in the year. And what you're basically going to see is a gate that's shaking a little bit. Look at the whole background, the way it slides like that. We'll roll it a couple times here, but you can see that the earth is shaking a little bit, but the background, where there's like a track, that whole thing slides. Watch.
Whoa.
Just like that. So when there's a massive earthquake at a place like the San Andreas Fault, those are slip slides where the two tectonic plates slide past one another. And normally you see all the buildings that are broken, but you don't get a chance to actually see the event itself. And the reason that this footage has people so excited is that you can actually see the geology happening. I mean, geology sounds like the most boring, science in the world. It's just looking at rocks. But when you see it like this, I think it just brings it to life.
Yeah, it is amazing. Finally, there's a study looking at hearing aids as a tool to reduce loneliness. Does that actually work?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting piece of what hearing aids do for people is they make it easier for them to be part of the conversation. They make it easier to speak to a new person if you're at a party. It's a hurdle to get past if you're not hearing them very well. And so researchers believed that they could improve people's social lives by giving them hearing aids and giving them some help with using that hearing aid. So they took a group of about 1,000 people. They gave half of them hearing aids and help with using the hearing aids. And then the other half of the people just got support, in other parts of their lives, but nothing about hearing aids. Then they compared how many friends people had it as a result. And there was a significant increase for the group that had hearing aids. They had significantly more friends at the end, but the magnitude of that difference was pretty small. It's just about one friend on average. And so whether it's worth all that effort is sort of perhaps not in this case. But I will say that hearing aids have been shown to really be linked to mental health and to increased longevity. And so there are lots of good reasons that if you have a hard time hearing aids can really improve your quality of life.
Lots of benefits.
Well, we hear you, Dan Riskin. We learned a lot today. We appreciate it as always. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Now we got a heads up for drivers. There will be nightly lane closures on the Don Valley Parkway this week. This is for bridge work. Starts tonight until Thursday. There will be lane closures in both directions in order to allow for work on the Eastern and Adelaide bridges. Southbound traffic will be reduced to 2 lanes between Dundas and south of Eastern Avenue. The southbound off-ramp to Richmond Street will also be closed. And starting tonight to Friday, the northbound DVP will be reduced to 1 lane at Gerrard Street for painting work on the Gerrard Street Bridge. The Dundas and Queen Street on-ramps will also be closed, and these closures will be in effect from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m.
And there will be early nightly closures on the Line 1 subway this week. Service will end at 11 p.m. between Shepherd Young and College stations until Friday night. This is for planned track work. Shuttle buses will be running instead. Lawrence and Summer Hill stations will be closed to customers, while all others will be open to purchase fares or connect to bus routes.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, breakfast on the barbecue. Why not? This will get your mouth watering. We take a look at some of the latest culinary techniques as grilling season kicks into high gear.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
So did you fire up the barbecue over the long weekend?
As the weather warms up, people are starting to heat up those grills. And it's not just hot dogs anymore. Food options for outdoor dining has certainly evolved. CTV's Carol Charles has more on some of the latest trends.
And there you have it.
A breakfast of champions.
Get some pepper.
All prepared on the grill. According to Barbecue Naz, this year the trend is about doing more with your grilling, keeping it outside and enjoying the weather. And having the right tools to get the right flavor.
Flat top grilling is unique because now you're getting more of the surface of the food is touching the flat top. When you flip it over, you're going to get the whole thing is going to be caramelized.
Let's start with the basics.
If you want to do pancakes on one or eggs, you want to do bacon or sausage or whatever it is you want to cook, you can actually control 2 different temperatures, and that's unique to flat top cooking.
And to keep the eggs and pancakes in form,
this is a portion controlled pancake mix holder. You put your pancakes mix in here, you pull the lever, and the bottom opens up to how much of a pancake you want to drop in. I'm using these silicone fire resistant holders. They're round, so if you want to fit that egg on that muffin, these are perfect.
Rounding off a good brekkie, bacon.
You can put a weight on it and it stays down right on the griddle, again making more contact with the griddle, and you're going to get nice crispy bacon every time.
Adding a smoker box to your grill is another layer of flavor.
You take it and you put it right in the burner, and you turn your burner on, and that'll add smoke as an ingredient to your flat top cooking.
I prefer the sweet.
The sweet, this is good. You're going to love this. Yeah, let's put it in this.
If you're a fan of chicken wings, try this out. A stainless steel flat basket.
We remove the handle, shut the lid, and it cooks top and bottom at the same time. Great accessory, great add-on for doing more with your grill. How are they?
Delicious. 10 out of 10. And this tool will work for a variety of meats.
That burger looks juicy because it has all kinds of caramelization going on. Beautiful. When you put a smashed burger on a flat top or your steak or whatever it is, protein that you're cooking, you flip it over, the whole protein, the whole food is caramelized, and that's nothing but flavor.
Now for a recap of the do's and don'ts of maintaining your grill.
Make sure this stuff gets cleaned off, the buildup. That's not good because all you're going to do is cook it over and over and the black smoke's going to go up to your food. They need to look like that.
Carol Charles, CTV News.
And here's another sign of the season. Pickleball players are getting back on the outdoor courts. The East Toronto Pickleball Association launched its outdoor season at Kew Gardens yesterday, with 80 players getting into the swing of things under sunny skies. Participants say the fast-growing game is as much about bringing together friends as it is about the sport itself.
Pickleball is all about community. It's about meeting people. It's, as you can see, it's a sport that's doubles. People play 4 people on a court, so you get to know the other players really well. There's people on the sidelines. People come out and they play for a couple hours. They bring their picnic baskets and their lunch, and they get to know people. It's a very social community sport, which is an awesome thing at times like this.
The East Toronto Pickleball Association represents 700 pickleball enthusiasts of all ages and skill levels.
From pickleball to pro baseball, the Blue Jays are set to begin a series with the San Diego Padres this evening.
There it is. Lines it into left field. Another big hit for Clement.
The Jays are coming off a 3-2 loss to the Detroit Tigers on Sunday. First pitch for tonight's game against the Padres set for just after 7 p.m. at Rogers Center.
If you're considering welcoming a furry friend into your home, today may be the day to do it. It's National Dog Rescue Day. Each year, millions of dogs enter shelters after being rescued from abuse, neglect, and abandonment. National Dog Rescue Day is celebrated here in Canada and the U.S. in an effort to encourage prospective pet owners to consider adopting their new best friend from a shelter or rescue organization. Here in the city, the Toronto Humane Society will be taking part in Doors Open Toronto next weekend. Guests can take a guided tour and meet adoptable dogs and cats.
He may not sport a cape or have any catchphrases, but a BC man is a bit of a superhero to his neighbors.
CTV's Adam Sawatsky has more on how simply picking up litter is inspiring others.
Well, he's not faster than a speeding bullet or more powerful than a locomotive. Herbert Eaton is proving to be a superhero of sorts.
I just want to come out and enjoy my time picking garbage up.
And while he can pick up a bounty of butts in a single day,
300, sometimes I'll get more than that.
And demonstrates the ability to do it every day,
3 to 4 hours.
Herbert is too humble to reveal the true potential of his powers, but others are happy to try.
He does good things around here. Friendly, tries to be happy.
Always looking for someone to help.
Like when he discovered this handful of discarded credit cards and ID.
I'm going to try and turn it in somewhere or see if I can find a person.
And although he's never sported a costume, Herbert has been seen carrying groceries for people with mobility issues, sharing jokes with strangers who seem down, and giving food to the hungry.
He's just not judgmental. He treats everyone like their needs are important.
Now, you should know there's no death-defying origin story here. Herbert says he just started volunteering to do this one day because he was bored during the pandemic and hasn't stopped since.
It's fun picking up stuff, trying to keep the place clean.
And although people have offered him donations and gratitude, Herbert has never asked for anything in return.
And I'm just happy one day to say thank you for the great work you've done for us.
We appreciate it.
And keep it up.
But Herbert is most happy when neighbors like Danielle are inspired to join him in not just cleaning up, but building up the community.
So we feel like we're connected to something, so it's less isolating.
We can learn to make our
community better and healthier.
It lifted my mood. Think about something else besides yourself and your own problems.
And perhaps that's Herbert's greatest power of all, showing you don't need to commit spectacles of service to be a hero. You can be super by simply helping others. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, New Westminster.
Another Adam Sawatsky.
I love it. The world needs more Herberts,
so
honestly.
true.
And when you see litter everywhere, like, it does ruin your vibe. So it's nice that he's doing that.
For sure. And if you're out and about today, it's a sunny day. Maybe pick up some litter while you're out there. Enjoy the walk today, too, because tomorrow it'll be a little soggier out there. You're going to need the umbrella, especially by tomorrow afternoon. Here's tonight at a glance. Temperature-wise, a little warmer than we were last night. Close to seasonal, in fact. 10 degrees is our average overnight low. We're forecasting 9. Tomorrow's high, though, cooler than normal again. We're going to be saying that a lot this week. 13 degrees is what we're expecting. I'm going to find a silver lining and say that the wet weather on the way is good for lawns and gardens around the region, but we are expecting a healthy amount of it between Wednesday and Friday. The weekend brings about improvement, drier and warmer. Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.